Let's party.
People and people, welcome to Hot Dad's Pod. I am your... Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry. I was so excited. I almost skipped over the plugs. You go.
I love that you wanted me to open it and then you just immediately pig-piled.
I get excited.
I'm your co-host, Maria Heinegg. You can find me all over the internet at Maria Heinegg, MariaHeinegg. And this is my co-host, Gracie Canaan.
Save Gracie Canaan. You can find me. If you haven't found me by now, just try a little harder. I'm not going to spell it out for you because I'm tired, but I'm so excited. Way more than my Instagram handle. I'm so excited for our guest. Maria, you ramp it up because I'm just going to say weird shit. We're breaking the fourth wall today.
Which is so different from what we normally do.
Yes.
She is our producer.
What?
And she's amazing. And she's a comedian.
Thank you.
A podcaster.
Welcome. And a rampant podcaster. Welcome to the stage, Andrea Allan.
Yay.
Tell them where they can find you.
Yeah. Follow me at Andrea Comedy 69 on Instagram because I'm an adult woman who has that handle. And hey, comedian, podcaster, internet slut. Follow me at fansly.com/dogpig69 if you want to see my pussy.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm doing well. My life is going the way that I thought it would.
Are you not on Only anymore?
I am banned. Here's the thing about me is I'm banned from multiple platforms in life. I'm banned from OnlyFans. I'm banned from Uber. I'm banned from Venmo.
I hear people get banned from Venmo. What happened with OnlyFans?
So it's not even necessarily banned that they won't let me in because I'm a Canadian who lives in the United States.
What?
And they think that I'm being like sex trafficked. And I'm like, thank you for calling me young, but I am 34 years old.
They don't want me.
Yeah, I would fight them.
How did they communicate that to you?
They just rejected my ID. And they were like, you can no longer like apply. They're very like all these like online sex work and stuff like that. There's like a legislation that
very careful.
Yeah, that like is pretending to be about protecting from sex trafficking, but really it's like just Christian garbage.
Yeah.
So like if anyone even gets a whiff of weird stuff, they're like, you're banned.
If anyone gets a whiff of weird stuff on OnlyFans, it's not someone fucking your foot.
Absolutely not.
That is funny that you would get banned from OnlyFans and people are like, for what? You're like, fucking clerical errors.
Right. Seriously.
Like out of all the things. Okay, what's going on with Uber then?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
That's what I want to know.
I'm also banned from Greenwich Village Comedy Club.
Well, that's a good thing.
Am I bipolar like you guys? Yes.
What'd you do in an Uber?
I don't think I did anything, but it was back in Ubi Poo back in the day.
Miss it?
4th of July.
I think they have it again.
It's like rebranded as like Share or
terrifying.
Something. Yeah.
I'm not doing it. But it was the 4th of July. Myself and my friend were in an Uber with like a finance bro.
Yeah.
And like very quickly into the car ride, he was like obviously drunk and obviously trying to hit on us, and we were going from Brooklyn or Queens to Brooklyn, and I'm like, this is going to be an hour of like just trying to handle this nightmare. And he was doing the like, oh, like you guys are podcasters, like I didn't know women can, and I was like, oh my god, you're such a trope.
Yeah.
Of of just awfulness.
Yeah.
He started trying to like play us against each other. Like every tactic that like a misogynist uses, he was using. And it got to the point where I was like, hey, we don't want to talk anymore to you. Sure. And he went, I'd love to meet your parents. And I was like, why? And he's like, I'd love to meet the people that created such a cunt. Which is honestly, well, here's the thing, which honestly is kind of a sick burn because I am kind of a big cunt. But like in this situation, I was being very reasonable. But my friend, I love her for this, but it wasn't well thought out.
Sure.
He was in the front seat and she was sitting behind him, and she opened a bottle of water and just dumped it on his lap.
Oh, I love her.
Incredible.
That's great. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
But like, it was my Uber account.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then he was freaking out. And the driver was like, you're damaging my car. I'm like, it's a Camry. Relax.
And it's water.
It's water.
That's worth it. I would say that's worth it. You can use Lyft.
Yeah. And I do. Shout out to Lyft. But like, it was just like, also
fuck that guy.
Shout out to Lyft, friend of the pod.
But the thing is, like, the driver was upset, and I was like, listen, just let us out. Like, we're not going to be spending any more time together with this guy. But like I was also like, hey, you watch this adult man like harass us for like 40 minutes straight and then call me a cunt. Like, that was fine with you, but like some water in your fucking...
How did the guy react?
The guy with he got so mad. But then he got out of the car and he was like, do you guys want to come back to my place? And I was like,
oh my God.
It didn't work. Next time, bring hot coffee.
Oh my God.
Damn.
That's wild that he did that. I mean, it's like, that's truly like a movie.
Yeah. It was psychotic.
Where you watch it and it's like the villain in a rom-com and you're like, people aren't like that.
Yeah.
I've been in a car, same kind of situation, and we wouldn't talk to the guys, and he was like, you guys are fucking animals.
Yeah.
And it was like one of the maddest, and I was like early 20s, and I remember it was like I saw red and I had to control myself to not like kill this person.
It's so crazy.
It's so
when it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Men are so mad at you when you won't have, or not men, not all men, but like, not all men, hashtag men's activists. But like, shitty men are so mad at you when you don't want to have sex with them or like, engage. And you're just like, this is so crazy that you feel entitled. Like, why do you want this attention when you hate us?
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's so weird. They're like, I want to fuck you, but I hate you.
Well, men love fucking people they hate. Most men, a lot of men hate women and date them anyways and then complain to the other men in their lives
so
how
strange.
annoying they are.
Yeah.
It's like,
I hope to be one of those one day. That's how I have
to be married to a man who hates you.
No. I'd like to be that man. I think like similarly in the last episode where I said I one time masturbated in a workplace bathroom.
I've also done that.
think that one way that we can I think one way that we can be good feminists is acting as shitty as men. And then like just leveling the playing field. So it's like if we start like fucking people that we only hate, then talking shit about them, then sexually harassing people, jacking off in work.
I'm going to draw the line that I'm not open to raping anyone.
I mean, well, that's way too much work. Like
that's
physically,
their thing. You can't do that. That's their thing.
Shane Torres says in one of his bits about like, he's like, people should be able to come like however they want.
Yeah.
Within the bounds of the law.
Sure. I would agree.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would agree with that.
One of the things that really bothers me about feminism is that there is this like
women aren't people.
Yeah, they're annoying and no, but I do think there's this thing where we must all have a unified front, which I do think as like if a man is shit talking a woman who I don't like necessarily like, but I don't dislike, I won't say anything about it. I won't I don't support men shit talking women. I'll always like defend the woman or I won't participate.
I don't know if a woman said something objectively horrible.
But
it also depends on but
that's the thing though. There are women that are like trash people. And I hate this like, yes, queen thing that we've been like co-signed into. And I also am like, when a man is an asshole, I am very clear that I don't like them. I'm going to equally tell you I don't like you.
Yeah.
I'm not handling you with kid gloves, bitch.
No, absolutely. And especially the context matters. Like I'll hold back. Let's say there was a woman that I like truly didn't like, which honestly I can't think of one off the top of my head. Or like thought was
like
other
10.
than me.
Thought was like garbage. Other than Maria, who I shit talk liberally.
Yeah.
Just any I just go and pop into businesses.
She shit talks me to my own face. It's nuts.
Yeah, samesies.
I always say how mean you are.
Yeah. There's one thing. It's that Gracie's a mean pants.
Yeah.
But if it's like the context where I won't say anything, even if it's someone that bugs the shit out of me, if it's like a bunch of dudes at a club talking about it, then I'll be, and I'm the only woman, then I'll be like, meh. But if it's like I'm in with a couple of guy friends and we're all talking about it. But I echo that sentiment where it's like equality is being able to hate everyone the same.
And that's all I want in this world.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm an angry, bitter, exhausted.
Equal hate opportunity.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm a person where I'll always tell you where I really am coming from.
And where are you really coming from right now at this point in your life? You've joined us. You're on the couch. You're on the other side. You're in the sandwich.
I am currently going through a extended rough patch. My dad died. It is the Dead Dads podcast for this episode. I don't know. I've had
We're gonna call the episode Dead Dad Party.
Yeah.
I've had a cartoonishly tough, but also like a lot of good things have happened. I don't know if this is some sort of statistical law, but I feel as if usually bad patches usually come in like triads of bad things.
Sad things in threes.
Yeah.
Tragedies in threes. That is a thing.
It feels very, very true. And so I've been sustaining unending nightmares. But I also think that currently in our world, it's kind of a very tough time. Everything is very difficult right now. So I think
it's hard to breathe.
Yeah, the air is poison.
Yeah. Like I felt it yesterday.
Yeah, me too.
You know, like you can't even go outside for a little walkie and clear your head.
No.
Which is Gracie's favorite.
Which is my thing. I love to get out there and sashay away my fears away, but we can't even do it because it just like you're like smoking outside.
No.
Yeah. So it's a lot. It's already a heavy environment.
I think the other thing I will say though, and I've said it before, is that people will talk about, like you said, like, you know, it's tough times in the world. And it's like, I think it's actually always been tough times in the world. It's just the fact that we're so globalized with social media now that we know what's going on, that it makes it harder to ever feel normal or ever feel like things are okay because we're so aware of all of the problems now. And it's not so like segmented within it. Like police brutality was always a problem, but it wasn't until white people like discovered it. Like,
God, do you guys remember the discovery?
Like 5 years ago, like the first Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
And they're like,
We're
oh
all,
my
like,
God,
shocked.
can you believe that this is happening?
Well, it's
and
probably
it's
the
like,
same.
It's like, bitch, this was always happening.
It's probably the same with everything. Like with climate change, it's like we're all freaking out because the
It's
air
actually
is
happening
hard
at our
here.
doorstep now.
Yeah.
Right, but like
and climate change scientists are like, are you fucking kidding me?
But also it's like people who were like victims of hurricanes in Puerto Rico and stuff are like fucking
duh.
So
It's always when rich people start to actually get affected that we come
Absolutely.
online as a community. And you know what? I love that.
I love it.
I love
so
rich
excited
people
to see
creating change in our world.
I love rich people being inconvenienced.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like pish posh.
Yeah.
That's my impression of a rich person.
Hashtag
being
not all rich. I
inconvenienced.
mean, some of them are such.
I mean, you're sitting amongst an heiress right now because my dead rich dad is dead. So
Oh my God.
get
Wait,
ready
go-
for me.
okay,
Let me know when
get
you're
in-
taking us out to dinner.
Get into the complicated feelings of that. Do you love how I'm like fucking New York Times level journalism? Go more in
I'll
that.
go into the complicated
Yeah.
feelings. What particular part of it would you be
Well,
interested
like,
in
I
knowing?
mean,
What's your favorite part about your dad dying?
yeah. And then least favorite.
all the money I'm about to get. Are you kidding me?
Wait, what is his company?
Yeah. So my dad, he's Canadian for
Sure.
context. So he's like rich, but everybody is okay with it because the Canadians are friendly.
Okay. They don't want to eat him.
No.
Didn't.
He
Yeah.
pays taxes. He's not
Okay.
like a criminal.
Okay. Weird.
Very weird. Yeah. So my dad, he started his own business. I mean, he's like in a lot of ways, and I talked about this in the funeral, like he's a self-made person. He had the advantage of being white and many different things, but like he was a person who was born with a congenital heart defect and has almost died so many times in my life. I can barely count it on my hands. And he put himself through, he got a full ride scholarship to Berkeley, and he worked super fucking hard, started his own like, real estate investment company and built that company up from the ground up while he was like constantly, dying. Yeah. Like he's a really admirable person in a lot of levels. I don't think I've ever met anyone so driven and like unwavering and just like, just confronted with difficulty and fear and uncertainty and just being like, I'm doing it. He's incredibly smart, which is very intimidating, and deeply narcissistic and psychologically difficult to be around. Yeah.
I remember
So,
you
like,
making the Roy.
Yeah,
Logan Roy.
Logan. Honestly, I didn't watch Succession for a long time because I was like,
This is gonna bug me.
I know everyone, and then I watched it for the first time about 6 months ago. I started watching it, and yeah, people are like, this is cartoonish and seems fake, and I'm like, no, this is exactly what a narcissistic family looks like within like a elite class structure.
Yeah,
because narcissists feed themselves by demeaning other people And you can super do that if you're a powerful person that everyone respects.
Right, because you have everyone around you that is like
you have the power of money, you know.
That's why it's like, I think there's sometimes this sentiment amongst people, which is like, if you grew up with money or if you have money, then like, shut the fuck up. You're not going through any pain. And it's like, no, I have seen, like, I grew up around wealthy people. I went to art school. Like, there's wealthy people in comedy. And I'm like, literally just like from watching Succession or something, like, or people being trapped internally by like the golden wheelchair. I think, like, honestly, mo money, mo problems. I'm going to say it.
I don't know if it's mo problems. It's just that, like, you can then start to obsess on those problems because the money's already there. Like money becomes
or it enables your existing problems, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like if you're strapped, then you're like, I have to maybe change myself in positive directions or something. I have to prove myself. But if you're a narcissist or you have like deep personality flaws and then you capitalize off of that, then maybe you're going to think like subconsciously, hey, this works and has gotten me
Kanye.
far.
We all know what happens when someone who has a mental illness is treated like a living god.
Right.
I would argue that he has more than one mental illness. It's just that the bipolar has been diagnosed. Like, he has a personality disorder.
Yeah. I think he actually might have borderline, but that's my, armchair diagnosis. But like, money is one of the most powerful things in our world. I think money and beauty are two of the most powerful things. And whether I agree or disagree that they should be very powerful, they are.
It's just like a human nature thing.
Yeah.
Like an animal thing.
Yeah. And so it's like, when you're a child and someone is that powerful, it's like growing up with a god as your parent. And so it's incredibly hard to go, you're wrong. Because like everybody is like this fucking man. My dad was like a legendary character. People like revered him.
You live in a different reality that they do you want us to pause? No. Yeah. Oh, they live in like a different reality that they've created. So it's like changing the laws of physics, but you're changing the laws of like human kindness.
And I think it's worth saying too that like within narcissistic family units, usually, and I've done a lot of research and been into a lot of therapy with this, is there's like a golden child usually, and there's a scapegoat.
Yep.
And my brother was the scapegoat, and there was always like, me and my dad would fight. Like a lot of people don't stand up to my dad. I would. And I think we had like a level of closeness to each other because of that. But also like him being demeaning towards my brother is so triggering for me. And I would scream.
Yeah.
Like, I've had fights with my dad where I've screamed. I've thrown things against the wall.
It's just like your protective instinct kicks in. He's younger, your brother?
He's older.
Okay, yeah.
And that makes it even more complicated because like I don't have this protective older brother, which is not his fault. He was like, it was so demeaning.
It's the same in my family with like my older sister. Is like that. But like I wasn't protective over her. So I think she has a lot of like,
it's fucking complicated. Yeah. People just like survive in their own ways.
Yeah.
But I think in like when you're the golden child, people would, people are like, to your point, like I wanted for nothing. I succeeded. My whole life was sort of defined by being his successor, actually. Like I went to a college. I went to Parsons, which is a very elite school, and like he suggested that, and I got great grades because I was like forced to be almost like military level studying all the time. Like there is something about being someone's protege where you have no actual sense of identity except for your relation to them,
legacy.
And so it fucks your brain up. But people have trouble understanding that. And I of course get that. It's a terribly unrelatable thing.
Yeah.
But actually, to quote problematic podcaster Tim Dillon,
friend of the pod.
I mean, he did say something. He has like a very interesting understanding of wealth because he seems to be obsessed with it. But he did say that like children in very low socioeconomic classes and very high have kind of parallel issues because
it's like the horseshoe
their
thing,
parents
right?
are never around.
Yeah.
In the lower socioeconomic classes, it's because they're forced to work multiple jobs often. And, you know, it's weird to be like, I wasn't a latchkey kid, but he was never around. He was up at 5. I never saw him, you know, when he got home, he would just go to his office. He, you know, there was psychological abuse happening all the time and no one was saying anything about it because like we protect the unit and the family name. Like I'll give you an example of like
please do
Succession style shit that went down. My dad was very sick for a long time and he went to another city to get a heart surgery because he was told he was going to die if he didn't have the surgery. And this was a fairly common occurrence. Like he was, I've seen him in situations where it was like he may die. What are our options? So that was a lot of my childhood was doing that with him and my family. But he had a big surgery and he ended up getting a heart transplant in an like emergency capacity.
Damn.
That's so heart transplants are so crazy.
Yeah,
You can just not have a heart in there for whatever given time while they're transplanting.
yeah. Well, it's he at one point during this period of time, I think he held the world record for being in open heart surgery for the longest time. He was
Holy
in surgery
shit.
actively for 27 hours.
So did they have to change out surgeons? You can't
Yes.
have one surgeon.
So this is what happened is that he was born with a congenital heart defect called tricuspid atresia, and most of the children who have this don't have long lifespans.
Sure.
Yeah, but he's this superhuman thing. He's not even a man. He's like a robot. I always joke that he's like gonna come back from the afterlife and get like a Terminator body.
Sure.
And show up at my house. And a doctor in Vancouver, which is where I'm from, was like, "You're going to die. I don't know. Like we've tried everything." His heart used to go out of rhythm.
How long ago was this?
This is when I was like 11 years old.
Oh, okay.
Started when I was
Wow.
9 and then it went to
Okay.
probably 11, 12. But they were like, we've hit the end of our road with this. You know, he would go into like cardiac arrest all the time. And, you know, he was really like, I have a lot of empathy for how he became the type of person that he is because he was so traumatized. Like the amount of near death experiences this person sustained is like ungodly. But there was a surgeon in Chicago that was like, "I'm doing an experimental procedure for this. Come down. We'll try it on you."
Okay.
So he went down there with my mom, and then I stayed in Vancouver with a family, friends that I would live with when they would go away. And the surgery was performed. It was successful. He was like, fine. We were all like, oh my God, miracle. And then at some point during his recovery, he either got a blood disease or he had pancreatitis. I can't remember.
Like he got like sepsis?
He did have sepsis before he died, actually, and survived it, which sepsis kills like healthy people.
That's wild.
But he had pancreatitis. Something happened in the hospital that made him more sick. And so he fully they were like, he was being kept alive by machines. And I was like woken up in the middle of the night and my brother was, and they were like, "You're going to Chicago. Your dad's fucking dying again." And we're like, "Hell yeah, brother."
Sure.
We actually, one of my favorite memories from this time, which is so psychotic, but it's just very funny, is that when we got to Chicago, my dad's on death's door, my mom's trying to keep it together, all of his family members are there, and they're like, "We can't find a car service to pick the kids up." The only thing that they could find was a party limo company.
What?
This is your pilot. This is the beginning of your pilot.
I know, it's so
Sending a party limo with a pole to
It
pick
had
up kids
a
to say
pole.
goodbye to their dying father.
there was a disco ball in it.
That's so fucking funny.
The guy was like this corny dude being like, "What's going on?" And
you're like,
You were like, our dad's about to die.
And I'm like, well, I'm gonna play Drake or whatever.
Some disco bullshit.
Yeah.
But there was like the booze. Do you guys remember those like jars of the like booze for scotch that are like big glass containers? My brother was just like drinking out of that directly, and
At
I was
age, like
that's
how old was
fine.
he?
I think 17.
Okay,
So like he was drinking at that point in time, but like
Listen, that's, you know,
I was picturing still 9 and
everyone
11.
copes differently.
grief isn't
Andrea.
linear. It's happening in a limousine.
It's vertical out of a jar.
Yep.
So it was just like so surreal. And I just didn't know that people weren't having these experiences. Like you don't understand how crazy these things are
Totally.
until you come out of it and people are like, what?
You're like, did we all not take a party bus
limo
to go
see our half dead
visit?
dad?
Yeah, like
What?
weird.
Half dead. That's funny.
Oh, he's been half dead for so long. But we got there and they're like, you can either pull the plug or we can put him on a heart transplant list. And like heart transplant lists work by need and also by like time that you've been on the list. So he went straight to the top of the list because need.
Yeah.
And some man had a brain aneurysm on a motorcycle and died and happened to be a match for my dad, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And he got a transplant within 3 hours of being put on the list, which is insane.
That's wild.
It's like sign from God wild.
It was it's insane. He's a miracle
Tough motherfucker.
person. Yeah.
It's like a $6 million man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
So then the doctor like got on a helicopter, went to the place where the
With
harvested
the ice chest.
Yes,
like,
100%. Came back, put it in, and my dad like woke up all fucked up, like he was all bed sore, all of the stuff. And he was like, what the fuck happened? Because like when you're being medically traumatized like this, you remember none of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's just insane.
It's like, am I alive?
Yeah, where am I?
Yeah.
What's happening? And we were like, yeah, you have a new heart. And it was insane. Then the recovery period from something like that, traumatizing to your body, takes a long time. So eventually when he was stable enough, they brought him back to Vancouver.
So can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
So because he's Canadian and they went to the US for these procedures, did they just pay out of pocket for all this wild shit?
Oh, yeah. And also he's like experimental.
That's how much money.
Oh, yeah. You got to have fuck off money to live this much.
That's
like
wild. Like anyone else would have died.
For sure. Oh, yeah, absolutely. A million times over. But also like, God, did he give so much money to hospital? That's the thing that's like hard about someone who's psychologically abusive, and like they can be really kind to other people and they're not all just monsters. And
and also like for someone like that, it's easy to throw money around.
Yeah.
It requires more to like be kind.
I don't think that he was capable of true connection in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if
it
it's
might
like
be a sociopath instead of a narcissist.
I don't know.
Or both.
That's definitely been
like,
thrown around as an option.
If you, I also do wonder, it's like if you've had to undergo that much like physical trauma, then it's like, does your brain have to evolve into like processing? Like you just shut things out because you have to survive. But then with shutting out, you shut out the good stuff too, or you shut off things that could make you, I don't know. It's like,
well, and also when you're in pain, it's much easier to be unpleasant.
Yeah.
Like if you're in pain.
I think that my mom said that he changed, and like having a relationship with a person like this, spoiler alert, after he like survived all these things.
Yeah.
You think he'd be like, wow, this is so amazing. I have a new lease on life. And it's like, nope.
I mean, he did in the sense that he always lived life. He always wanted to do things, especially because people would say that he couldn't because he was like disabled in certain ways.
Yeah.
So like, yes, he did and always did, but he had many affairs and sort of like secret lives from what I know that I've been told by my mom. And, my mom had cancer after all of this, and he was not very like caring towards her, even though she literally like wiped his ass. Yeah. I mean, we've all, the thing I was going to tell you about, like as he was recovering in Vancouver, he always wanted like a sense of propriety. and like wanted to appear strong, which I think comes from like a few different things. I think like one is like being considered disabled or like othered as a young person. I think he always wanted people to not think that way about him, which I like fully understand. Sure. But I think it really hurt him in a lot of ways. He was very closed off, like to your point, like he was like a pillar of strength and didn't want anyone really seeing him in any real way. At least with my experience. I think I'm one of the few people that kind of saw him in his entirety, hopefully to the best that I could. But, you know, he also was narcissistic and he wanted to be this like great man. So we would like have family dinners and they were in near darkness with candles. In our living room, in our dining room.
Traditional great hall.
The dining room was blood red in color, which is so funny. There was like a chandelier.
It's terrifying. It was like Game of Thrones.
Yes, it was. My mom was an excellent cook, so she would cook these like beautiful meals. And we like had topics of conversation that we were allowed to talk about and things that we were not allowed to talk about. Like things like pop culture were considered like pedestrian.
Whoa. So it's like you can speak about like history.
Yes, your time in school. Like, what did you learn today? Like, very like, we are an elevated, we are the Allans. And also, I do think that he wanted us to be well-rounded people and this is how he did it, which is not a normal way to do it. But like, but he was very sick during this time and still not, his body wasn't fully recovered. He was in a wheelchair for a long time. He was unable to walk or speak on his own. Like there was this long rehab, but at this point he was able to kind of eat solid foods, but not really. So we'd have these meals and then he would have to throw up because his body could not handle this type of complex food. But he would throw up into a bucket in front of us to like, you know, to be like, we have the dinner and like, I just throw up in the bucket and then
this is normal.
And then it gets taken. I think I have taken it. I took it multiple times. My mom did. One time I had a babysitter and it happened and like, she like ran out of the house because it was like so upsetting. So it's like,
it's kind of like it's kind of like American Horror Story
it is.
Vibes where it's like, this is completely normal. And then you're watching it as an outsider and you're like, this is fucking dark.
It's twisted.
Yeah. Twisted.
But people just like saw us as this family and also especially a family that has overcome such things and succeeded. There was this like great admiration for my parents, which like they are to be admired on certain levels, but also like the things that were happening in that household were like not okay.
Yeah.
And they, you know, and so it shaped
bucket puking and limited topicking.
Yeah. At one point, one of the last times that we used to go on trips together, which again, like this is so unrelatable because it's like we would go to like beautiful places and stay in wonderful hotels. And then like one of our trips together, but he would ignore me. Like he wouldn't know how to talk to me.
Yeah.
He didn't really know me on a meaningful level. He knew me as a child and sort of the essence of who I was, but like
it's like a prop.
Yeah.
You're like a prop, like this is my family. This is my legacy.
Daughter.
Like little paper dolls.
Yeah. And I knew he loved me, but it's not a type of love that is typical, hopefully.
And didn't know how to express it.
No, conditional on certain levels sometimes. But we were in a hotel together and I had like fucked up my back and I didn't realize the severity of it at the time. And so I fell on the ground and I couldn't get up and I was terrified. I was like, I can't move.
How old were you at this point?
23.
Okay, so an
adult, but like I'm also hyper traumatized from all this like health related shit. So like when something happens, I'm also like level 10 afraid.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get up and he just like stood over me and he was like, I don't know what you want me to do. And then he just let me like drag my body across the floor.
Is it that it's like so hard to not get into the psychological motive behind that. It's like, I got myself through this, so you have to get yourself through it. But also, that's not true.
Yeah, we all helped you get through this. Yeah.
So it's this
but
weird.
He doesn't remember it that way because it's inconvenient.
No,
like,
it's
his, like self-strength and
he can't. That's
resilience.
You can't start the introspection because then you start to have to deal with the ways that you've damaged people around you, and you can't do that.
Did you say woof?
I said woof.
Big woof.
Which is like,
No.
What an understatement for like a wow. Meow. That's great.
Yeah.
Holy
jankies. My dead dad is that he left me hanging out to dry. After all my love and support.
That was very difficult because I also like when my parents got divorced. Also after that, by the way, like I eventually was able to stand, and then we drove back to the airport together, and he just screamed at me about like dropping my phone or something, and I just like quietly wept as he drove, and it was bizarre. And that was when I was like, we're not going on trips. And that was when I started to like create huge boundaries. I didn't see him. We never took a trip together again. We had a very boundaried relationship, and it severely changed my life in a positive way. Like I would be a completely different and deeply broken person had I
because you limited the negativity.
I can't. You can't let abusive people have access to you like that. They'll always do something.
It's almost like you had to get to the point where you dropped all your expectations, and sometimes you need to be pushed there. Like you're always gonna, especially when it comes to our family, this like idea of unconditional love, you're gonna be like, I can hold out longer, like this person is supposed to. And then there's that moment where you're like, oh, the cavalry is not coming, like this person isn't gonna change, and it's painful in the moment, but it's ultimately so freeing.
It's the medicine, baby.
Well, and it's also a symptom of emotional abuse, right? That you're like, he'll change. Like it'll be different because I love them. So I hope they'll change, and I'll just stick around for it because I'm conditioned to be used to it.
That's how people stay in abusive relationships their whole life. You understand that as the the setting in which people show love, and then you just find someone else who does that to you, and you're like, this is love. And so it took me a long time to like have healthy relationships. It took me a long time to legitimately build up my self-worth. And I'm not talking about confidence. I'm talking about like belief that you're valid as a human being. And when my parents got divorced, he tried to destroy my mother because he was angry about her like potentially taking his money. And he did so many things where it was like,
did she get her nut?
She did, but she had to take him to court. She had to get a forensic accountant. She hired a private eye.
Oh, that's wild. She hired a private eye.
At one point, like I think she broke into one of their homes to try to like get documents, and then he came home and she like scaled the balcony.
What?
Yeah, like
that is so much more like that's like
it's pretty cool. That's a caper.
Yeah, I mean my mom is a fucking crazy
that's
strong woman.
That's some real like Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible Scooby-Doo.
Like she has a false wall in her closet with just a John Wick stash.
I mean, I saw her be demeaned, and like it was so difficult to see that because of how my dad was a narcissist and my mother enabled it because that's
what a victim does.
That's what a victim does.
Especially when it's tied to security.
Your whole life. And you have children with this person. And then also you have this.
No other means of taking care of yourself.
No. And so her whole identity was being like this man's wife. And, they didn't like each other near the end of their marriage. I wasn't upset that they were divorced. I was upset that like I watched my mom crumble like a dying star. And then I had to like pick her up on a level which is not a great position to be in. I mean, I think a lot.
Why not?
What? I mean, I think one of the things that I've learned throughout the passing of my father is that
he really was a good guy.
Yeah.
And scene.
You do go through that.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. You go through that when they're alive, but when they start to die, they become very soft and affectionate.
They become sainted.
Yeah.
They're only remembered. Well, yeah, and also because they're just so drugged up that they're just like, hi.
they know that
they're weak.
Yeah, they're vulnerable on a level that they have no choice but to be vulnerable with you. I mean, like, when I visited my dad for the last time in the hospital, he was so like, when people are dying, they're small often. Yeah. They're like shrinking. And so he was very small, and but his eyes were like really young. It's weird. The body is old, but the eyes are young. Sometimes, at least I felt. And he was very like, he was telling me he did assisted suicide. That's how he ended up ending his life, because both of his transplanted organs failed.
Do you feel like there's karma that? No, I'm just kidding.
Unfortunately, maybe as a 25-year-old, I would have felt that bitterness, but now I'm just like, oh, look, a horribly awful thing that I have to witness.
Yeah, you got to deal with it either way.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And he has to, it's your parent, the idea of them having to face, and I know that you had a family member who's died.
Yeah, my brother.
The fear of them having to go through that, and the desire to protect them from going through that is the most human thing.
Well, and it's also because it's so relatable. Like, the idea of me thinking that I would have to sign up for assisted suicide is like terrifying.
You put yourself in their position.
Humane way to die.
Other
than like dying in your sleep.
Yeah. So like, he was telling me about that, and he was like, I'm afraid. And he was like, it's horrible. And he never admitted fear.
Yeah.
And I would walk him and hold his hand throughout in the hospital, which is like not a position that you want to be in.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't want to be here anymore. And you're like, I know. Didn't think I was going to cry. Definitely crying. So it's like,
I love that you're crying.
You just are like, fuck.
Get it out.
Can I stop this?
Yeah.
And like, can I not be in? That's another thing. You're like, fuck.
Why me? Why
this
does it have
is
to
so
be me?
There's things that in life, like, there's so much suffering in life, but there's stuff that's like A1 horrible.
Yeah. like the steak sauce.
Yeah. It is the top tier of horrible. And like, that was horrible.
I mean, I also think
it's like harrowing.
It really comes down to, it's like someone that you love, despite whatever the other pieces of the relationship are, is going through something objectively horrible, and they're going to go away forever at the end of this. Like, so the mortality is there. But really what it comes down to, that is just, regardless of a situation, like whatever the sadness is, it's a lack of control.
Yeah.
There's nothing that you can do. No. There's no recourse. There's no like, here's how we solve this.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen, and you have to watch it in slow motion that it's going to happen. Because it's like, it's arguable both ways, right? Like, that losing someone instantly is better because you don't have to contemplate it coming up.
Yeah.
But then it's horrific because this thing that you weren't expecting, you don't get to say your goodbyes, you don't get to say your I love yous and everything you appreciate about them. And then, on the flip side, you do get to contemplate it when they are like dying slowly, and that can have a lot of value to it too, that you get to go through all those motions, you get to say all the things that you want to say. Yeah. But then you also have to go through all of the pain of watching them depreciate.
Oh, and it's like, especially someone who's so legendary in his ability to live, seeing him actually die is so fucking mind fuck.
Yeah.
I like still think he's alive. I think my brain is like saving itself right now. I still think he's alive.
For me, it took like a good 2 years before I could contemplate that my brother was not like alive somewhere in the world, because you've had your whole existence with this person existing.
Yeah.
You don't know the world without them being alive.
No. It's creating a new reality.
Yeah.
And
you're so your reality can't bend there for a period of time. Like, I'm sure it's different for everyone, but like mine was like 2+ years, and now it's good to be on both sides of that for different reasons.
Yeah.
Much like instant dying versus like dying over time.
Yeah. Because
it's like, it's good to accept it, but then you're also sad when you have accepted it, because they're gone. You know what I mean? Like, on a visceral level. Yeah.
There's a voicemail he left me last summer when it was really starting to go down. I saw him and he met my boyfriend, which was really nice. And then he sequestered my boyfriend away with his wife and then threatened to sue me for saying things about him on a podcast. That's a positive. I can say whatever I want.
Finally,
I got the inheritance, baby.
Go off.
So is the voicemail the threat? Or
No,
is the voicemail nice?
the voicemail is weird. So we had this, and we actually hashed, like, he won't take accountability for anything really in any real way. But he threatened to sue me. I know.
Boomer male not taking accountability.
An incredibly
A narcissist
wealthy, successful boomer male seeing other people's perspective.
Yeah.
What a novel idea.
Sure.
But he threatened to sue me, and he was like, all these things your mom said is a lie, and your mom is crazy. We went through the whole thing.
Real Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah. But then I was like, you had a complicated relationship with your father. You know we have a complicated relationship. And I talked about that time when he let me like drag my body along the floor. And he was like, I knew that was like, I knew that was gonna be like, he was like, I regret that more than anything in the world.
I mean, at least how did you feel when he said that?
Like, we reached a place where
This was in the voicemail?
this was in person.
Okay. I was like, what a voicemail.
Yeah. And we just leave voice notes at each other.
Yeah.
So we did kind of reach, and I think a big part of like me being in therapy for so long and having like concrete examples and not letting him like gaslight me or all this
'cause
shit.
They're so good.
Oh.
They're so good at like making you think that you're imagining it.
Yes.
And gaslighting you if you don't have, because it's like, it's this ongoing theme that they're like all the time with you.
Yes.
And so it's really hard to like whittle it down to specific examples because they can be picked apart. And your example is so good because it's unquestionable.
I loved when he would do things that were so abusive that would make people gasp, because then I was like,
It's validating
this is real.
that you're not imagining it.
Because he didn't physically abuse me afterwards. And this is a very common thing with emotional abuse, and especially sustained lifelong emotional abuse. People are like, I wish you would hit me.
Yeah.
So that I
So
could be like,
so I can say that.
At
So
least I can
definitely
have
say-
the scars that I feel. Like, at least I can have like the tangible proof.
evidence. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like a thing to know about being in an abusive relationship where you love someone is that being in that situation makes you question your reality constantly, and that bleeds into how you live in the world everywhere else, because you have to contend with, I love this person and they love me, and also they hurt me all the time and then make me feel like it's not happening. That's like so
that's sociopathic.
it's crazy making.
Yeah.
So like so then everything in your life is crazy making. Like if your home base is unstable and your reality is not clear all the time, you can't like survive. You will go crazy. I drank myself to oblivion. I'm a workaholic. Like I've got all these, I'm bipolar, which is genetic, but I also think it can get set off by trauma.
Sure.
You get set off by fucking coffee, like we were talking about. So you can imagine what trauma does to it.
Yeah, like I feel like my brain was put in a blender
Gracie's
for a
having
long time.
big
Yeah.
coffee
As
day,
someone who's
so-
highly caffeinated right now, I can say that it's traumatic.
Yeah.
You know, to have this much coffee.
Yeah, it's the same trauma of having a dead dad who was abusive.
Yeah, honestly.
Classic.
Potatoes.
Coffee.
I mean, I drink a
trauma.
fuck ton of coffee.
Yeah.
There's also like this thing where like with someone who's narcissistic and a survivor, there's a pride in being able to survive things. So there's always the like, well,
They're impenetrable.
yeah, so you should survive. Like,
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
should survive.
It's like a bootstrap thing.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
comes from
a
like,
really rich guy too, which is funny.
Yeah, I know, hilarious.
but it also comes from a place of like, I had to be hard on myself to get through. Therefore, like, I'm going to be hard on others, because it's almost like a way of like, it's
protecting you.
like yeah,
mind.
it's like, exactly. It's like, I'm going to be as hard on you as
To
I was on
teach you
myself to
Yeah.
make you make it through this. But then you're like,
Yeah.
actually, no.
Actually, no, that's just abuse.
Sure.
But his dad was psychotic. Like
Yeah.
my dad doesn't come from nowhere. Like
Yeah.
that's another thing. When people die, you start to understand the complete like picture of their lives and who they were as a young person.
That also denotes sociopathy, because like pathic behavior, because psychopaths are from birth.
Yeah.
And it's just how they are. And sociopaths are created.
Yeah.
And so if his father was like that and he inherited that, it's the same thing like, you know, sociopath, narcissist. Like, it sounds like he was both, you know, as a mental health expert. As a licensed therapist.
You know.
Yeah.
But
you've spent a lot of time on WebMD.
Exactly. And this happens with alcoholics as well, but one of two things happens. Like if you have a parent that's a narcissist, either you become one, which you obviously are. No, I'm just kidding. You either
I've looked it up.
You either become one or you very much become someone who is not one.
Yeah.
And so that was your reaction to it, was you were treated that way and you were like, oh, this is not what I want to be. I don't want to make people feel the way that this person makes me feel. The alcoholic example is just that there were these twins and they have an alcoholic father. One of them becomes an alcoholic and the other one doesn't drink a drop of alcohol, you know, in response.
And probably becomes like a rageaholic of some sort.
It comes out in a different way.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's all about control.
I like to be a rageaholic and I don't even have any like deep trauma.
I think you do. I think everyone, I mean, like, trauma.
I would say you have. You just talked about your brother dying.
Yeah,
I would constitute that as.
I'm bad at being like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, and this person,
sure. So
this
just
also sociopath was like terrible to me, and I forgot about it because I was so used to it. It's all Stockholm syndrome.
It's like relative too. Like a lot of people are like, I don't know why, but I am a person that like cartoonishly awful things happen to me quite often.
Because you can take it because your father taught you how.
I don't know what it is. And also there's people who've had much more cartoonishly awful, but
that's always going to be,
right.
You know, like genocide.
No one's going to be like, we've all voted and we've deemed you, this person, the worst, the person that the worst shit happens to in the entire world.
There might be some voter fraud.
But you're the most unlucky son of a bitch.
Yeah, there might be two Miguel Santos.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. But so I do think it's relative, like when people who haven't been through certain like things to this level,
different levels of sensitive,
that if they feel traumatized about something, I'm never like, well, you haven't fucking, because I'm like, if your threshold is different than mine, then that feels awful to you. And it's
like how men have a very low pain threshold.
Yeah.
And so they're like,
which we've now talked about 2 episodes in a row, which I appreciate.
Which, when we say you're being very generous, that I,
I stand in solidarity.
Someone's pissing Maria off.
Your mistakes are my mistakes.
Your
opinions are mine.
Yeah. Everyone's pissing Maria off.
Yeah.
Actually, my dad had an incredibly high pain tolerance, and that's what sets him apart.
Yeah, I mean, someone who's like going through chronic illness is gonna be able to take a lot more.
And that's
a great exception though of the like men not being able to tolerate pain, is it's like anyone who has to tolerate a lot of pain, like most women do with our cycles and everything, is going to be have a better threshold of it because it's a consistent thing in their life.
It's so like a horrible muscle you develop.
Yeah.
And so like I unfortunately have developed this horrible muscle, but I don't know. When he died, I understood a lot about like him and me and us in relation to each other. Like there is this closure that you get because the end is coming and you're not so mired in it. You know, there's a period to the end of the sentence. And honestly, like with an abusive parent, you feel a sense of relief sometimes because you just are not going to be doing this dance with them all the time.
Yeah. And also devastation. At the same time.
I miss his funny. He was funny in a really dark way. He would send these formal emails that were hilarious that I would laugh at with my friends. He was kind of bizarro in a really interesting way. But the voicemail that he left me after we had kind of the closure convo with the suing, then he was in the hospital again and he left me a voicemail and because he thought he was gonna die, and we'd had a few phone conversations, and he said, be strong, you are strong, have a great life, goodbye.
Oh my god.
Have fun, be strong, you're strong. Like what a weird, even in that moment, it's like Mufasa telling you to go fuck yourself.
He loved like phrases, and he was very like he was kind of poetic in certain ways and demented in other ways. So that was such a him thing to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to get any more of those. And they were like ridiculous, but I kind of liked them. And I'm not going to hear his voice. I'm not going to hear him go like, here's the deal. He had like a very gruff voice, and he would like clasp his hands and be like, here's the deal. And I'm like, I'm never going to get that.
Mr. Burns.
Yeah, he was kind of, but in certain ways he was, you know, really kind to in the ways that he could be. And yeah, I mean, for a person who's unable to love in a traditional sense, I think he loved me more than maybe anyone in the world.
He cared for you deeply.
Yeah.
Even if he couldn't experience like traditional love.
Yeah. And like
probably because he also, I mean, you know, narcissistic, but he saw himself in you.
For sure.
He saw that he had like ingratiated you with some of, you know, like some of his values.
I do, yeah. I'm definitely my father's son.
Yeah.
Which just sucks for my brother because my brother is the son, but that's sort of like how it panned out. But yeah, there was innate understanding between the two of us. And like I'm sure he had that with his wife on a level, but there was like a you know, I don't know. It's like I do feel like I was one of the few people that like got him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means there's like a whole other level of your grief. Not that it's like a competition and but it's like there might be a lot more for you to process versus like if it was someone who had him neatly labeled as like powerful or asshole or you know, whatever, donor, like whatever the thing is.
Multitudes, Andrea.
Right.
Unfortunately did.
I mean,
it would be so much easier if someone was like, that's the reason why people love people who've like wronged you, or it's because you also have like this other side of the coin that's like you're wonderful and like you're irreplaceable and like you only have one dad and stuff. So it's like what I do think is kind of like the beautiful and interesting, you know, one of the more interesting parts here is like the timing of this all. I feel like if this had happened to you when you were like in your 20s before you had
gone
come
insane.
Yeah, like you before you had this like really mature, beautiful closure that you gave yourself. Yeah, like
you don't have that until you're in your 30s.
No. And especially if your sense of self has been graded down over time. Yeah. The amount of like work it takes to build it back up. I had to be estranged for him for a time period because you can't do that with someone who's like that.
You can't forgive someone like that without space.
No. Yeah. But no, you're right. I mean, my brother who's now like kind of in his
take turns
journey, love it. I'm a mouthpiece. I can hang, but my brother who's now starting like dealing with a lot of the fallout of this, I think is having a hard time in a different way than I am because
he's a different person.
Yeah, and it's his dad, and I think like because my dad was so much more demeaning towards him, I think he has.
Is it because he couldn't live up to standards like you could?
Yes, like my brother has really debilitating ADHD. He's also like my brother was one of these people, yeah, it's a thunderstorm.
Thunder?
Got my dad's here being like, stop talking shit about me, you ungrateful little bitch. I gave you everything.
Oh my God.
My brother is like a gifted person, like, but he had trouble when he was young. He had a lot of trouble in school. And so they tested him and he has like one of these like unmanageably high IQs that make it like difficult to his other areas are really hampered by it.
Operating on too high of a level to do normal human stuff.
It's unbearable for him, I think, in a lot of ways.
That actually sounds awful.
It's really difficult. I mean, it's like he was like in Mensa, like he's just, but he can't, like he has trouble like sending an email, and then he's also crippled by being this great man's son, and he didn't start a business. He wasn't a millionaire. You know what I mean? Like neither of us.
I mean, now he is.
Yeah, now, hey, the long game, baby.
So cool.
Let him abuse you till
Andrea,
the very end.
I feel like you were going to be unwilling to do the podcast now that you're a fucking heiress.
No, I don't.
So you guys already made a joke about the thunder and how it's Andrea's dad
100%.
telling her to stop talking
to shut the fuck
shit.
up.
Yeah.
I love that you knew exactly.
Yeah.
To come
well, no, I
back.
heard you guys from the bathroom.
I
I wasn't.
I was like, wow, you're a joke savant.
You are really synced up. No,
really
I just wanted to
feel like a hack right now.
Yeah,
no,
I
just
you're like, are you doing that classic? Your dad is a thunderstorm.
God, go back to your Brooklyn
Yeah.
open mics. No, I heard you guys, and then I just repeated the bit because I wanted to be a part
It's
of
a
it.
good bit.
Yeah, it's good. It's pretty good. Yeah. What the fuck with this weather though? What?
Take a quick look.
Time?
If you need to leave your bike here and like take a car, you can.
Oh, I'm okay.
I love that we're now just like
Yeah.
getting into
Very
logistics.
sweet.
Yeah, we're like, what are we going to be up to for the day?
What are you doing later?
Hanging
your
on
dad
a rainy
died,
day.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I mean, he's in many ways also he has almost died so much in my life that I've gotten very comfortable.
Yeah, but it's like
It's different when
it's
it
like a
happens.
false start, you
Yeah.
know? It's like Boy Who Cried Wolf or
Oh,
something, and then
my
you're like,
goodness.
I'm just ready for the next thing. Like I'm like,
Take it
if
to the
I
next
got
level,
or you're
Gord.
like, if I got,
Why don't you just fucking do it, man?
just fucking.
I mean
Yeah.
that is what he said. We did. So he did assisted suicide, and me and my brother were not in Vancouver when it happened. So we got on a Zoom call with him, and he told us on a Zoom call, which is like, that's so great that in our modern society you can do that.
Yeah.
It's also
my cousin attended her father's funeral
Yeah.
on Zoom because she was living in Barcelona and very pregnant. So it like her mom like didn't want her to travel because it did like in COVID and everything.
That's also my dad. That thing just fell. It's also my dad.
That was a picture that just fell.
Yeah, it's my
That's
Jaguar.
oh,
Yeah.
that is insane. He's
Yeah.
here. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry what I said.
I'm
Gord.
not.
It fell this morning.
Okay.
so
All right.
just-
there you go.
So he's been
So
here
he's
since
been here.
this
He's been in your
morning.
apartment.
not to not to take away your
Yeah.
but
It's okay.
I thought I got bit by a spider during the Spider-Man movie, or not bit, but like I found one like in my sweater like during when I was watching the Spider-Man movie.
Oh God.
And then once the lights came up, I was like, "Oh, that's a straw wrapper."
Oh yeah, the power of suggestion, magical thinking.
Because it was moving, and then I realized, oh, it felt like it was moving because it was sliding. Down
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
shirt.
And you're like, just let it happen.
But I
My
was like-
fate is happening.
Yeah, I was like a spider,
And then you
during
tried to
Spider-Man.
scale a wall with a
Yeah.
straw wrapper in your pocket.
and we're all like, are you on your meds?
I was like, yeah, I know, right? I
Yeah.
was like, when it happened, I was like, that's because I thought it was like holding a spider, you know, like when I grabbed it.
yeah.
And I was like, and I'm not even really afraid of spiders, but you don't want to get bit.
Yeah, no.
But I
Unless
was like, how did a spider get
it
into
gives you
Unless-
powers.
But let me just say, how did that get into the top of my back? Also,
If it were me,
point.
I'd have no questions. I find weird shit in my clothes all the time.
Yeah.
that feels very
That tracks.
Gracie.
Yeah,
I was
it's
gonna
just
say
I
that.
like I empty out my, you know, how people empty out their pockets. When I empty out my bra,
There's
and
like
I
a
see
wrench.
what fun
Yeah.
snackies are in there.
Yeah.
Mouse trap, like whatever things come
Yeah.
out of there. But yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's nothing you can prepare yourself for, but you can do boot camp for it for your entire life.
Sure.
But yeah, no, we got on a Zoom call, and he was like, he's like, you guys always think I'm gonna die. Well, this time I'm actually gonna
This
do
time
it.
I got it planned out. It's in the calendar.
He said tomorrow at 4:45 Eastern Standard Time and blah blah blah
very
Pacific.
specific.
Yeah, he's very formal.
Well, but doing it at the 45 and not on the hour. You know,
Yeah,
or the
probably was
half
trying
hour.
to be different.
One last time.
You self-centered drama queen.
that is fucking crazy.
It's a crazy thing.
It's just like
To
I
know,
can't.
to
Yeah.
know.
yeah. So no, and this
I
is
just can't
No.
imagine.
Well, because when my brother died, like he died of cancer, so he was on these really heavy like hospice pain meds. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Which I think is a much more like humane
Yeah.
way to go because you're already so out of it.
and you're,
You're
like,
not
floating
looking
around.
you're not looking directly down the
Yeah.
barrel of
Yeah,
it.
exactly. So I'm sure that was a lot different than, you know, he had to like make a decision.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know exactly like if they like medicationed him up. I would assume
I don't know.
I would assume it's not like, you know, a fucking execution at a
No,
prison.
God.
Where they're just like inject
No.
you and then if everybody watches you die.
Yeah. I mean, from my aunt and uncle were there for it, and from what I understand, and this is also like Canada, so assisted suicide is legal and so handled so delicately because we like care about our citizens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they said it. I mean, when he talked to us on the phone, he was barely able to stay awake, and when I visited him, he was barely. When your organs are failing, you can't. Your
Function.
body is failing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was happy for him
Yeah.
because he was like, "This is
Relief.
horrible."
Get him
And
out of pain.
for him to say it's horrible is very, not
Vulnerable.
it's unlike him. Yeah, he got sepsis near the end, as I mentioned, and didn't die, which is insane.
That's so wild.
And like he just was fighting. He was so much of his definition of who he was a fighter, and I think that's why it was so unpleasant at the end, is because all he could do was fight, because that's all he knew how to do.
Yeah.
And so he just like
I'm taking a knee.
held on tooth and nail, like, God damn it, Gord.
Yeah.
But I like took the Zoom call, and I was in Vegas.
Oh my God.
Which was like so ridiculous. Again, like
throwing
it's
dice at
so
the
cartoonish.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm like, God damn it, this movie is hack.
Yeah.
But because I was doing a long trip and I was flying out of Vegas, I wasn't like having fun of it. I'm sober.
Right.
I hate Vegas.
Sure.
I love Vegas because you can go eat and go to shows and stuff. And you
I
don't
just
have to
don't.
drink.
I wish I could only go to
Play the
Vegas, but then like like wake up somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like waking up in Vegas is even if you are sober, a dark place.
It's like it's
Oh,
just,
I love it.
Oh, I hate it.
Pool parties.
It's Times Square to me. I hate it. I mean, I extra hate it because it's where I Zoom called my dad on his deathbed.
Oh, is it not your favorite?
Yeah, it wasn't my favorite at a hotel
It's better to
room.
do it there in a place that you hate than like scar and soil
you do
a
it in
place that you
Disagree.
love. Really,
Disagree.
really.
Like, I think if you had done it in your apartment, then you always think about that moment in your apartment, and I think it can sully like how you feel about your apartment.
I would have
feel
wanted to
like-
be home.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean,
Yeah.
you're wrong, but
Maybe it would have been different. But Vegas is so
like,
such
have
an.
you ever gotten dumped in your apartment? Not that that's the same thing as your dad.
I don't
Zoom
think
call.
so.
You get dumped in your apartment, you remember it. Like you start thinking, you picture the moments. Like it changes how you feel about your apartment.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, my lived experience was that it was a horrific nightmare, but
But agree to disagree with your experience.
well, it's just. But then also
It's like
like
a roller coaster going in the background.
yeah,
You're
it's like
fucking
someone being like,
what?
my fucking
They're like,
wife.
they're like, knock, knock, knock. Do you need any more towels?
And you're like, shut up. Yes.
I'm like just absolutely dissociating in
Yeah.
a fucking B level off the strip Vegas hotel. But then the next day was even weirder because it was the day I knew he was going to die. Not a lot of people know the time and
Correct.
day
You
that
can't
you're
be like,
4:45.
Yep.
did he zoom it?
No, God, fuck.
Just checking.
Yeah, that he there's a part of him that probably would make us sit in and watch
Yeah.
that, but like,
I feel like that's also like violates some legal boundaries. It's
yeah,
gotta.
seeing the life leave his body on a Zoom call. I mean, but like, also, oh my God, these things that you don't realize because you're not like, I'm going to be in a Zoom call saying goodbye to my dad. Who hangs up?
Oh, he does. He has to hang
He
up.
does.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I had to be like, are you good?
Is this done?
Are you like?
cartoonish.
Your brain doesn't think about like that awkward the
Yeah, 'cause
semantics.
you don't want to like click out like it's a work meeting.
No.
Like, later.
leave meeting.
and then I set up the Zoom call, and I don't have professional Zoom because
So
I'm.
it's only 40 minutes.
It gave me the notification of like, do you want to sign up for professional Zoom because you have 7 more minutes. So while my dad was like being like, I'm proud of you, live your life, I was on the Zoom website like trying to frantically put in my credit card
Oh my
information.
God. Let me just say, next time this happens, just hit me up. I have work Zoom. Okay.
I
next time you're
parent
is dying.
next time I mean,
you're saying goodbye on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
yeah, something to think about, people. If your parent is saying goodbye to you on a Zoom call, just
What if this whole thing was literally just an ad for professional Zoom?
right.
It's 40 minutes of like, don't get fucking caught without it.
Yeah.
Seriously, bro.
Protect your neck, because
Professional Zoom or nothing.
I'll keep it for the rest of my life.
Damn, this fucking
I know,
thunder
I
is
Dad is being a
nuts.
real dickhead.
Yeah, he's powerful. He's an all-powerful being. But walking. Then I had to walk around the strip of Vegas and like,
Just with your own thoughts.
and luckily my boyfriend was there. But like, it was also insanely weird for him. And I'm not being like my poor boyfriend, but it's just like as a partner
Yeah, that's strange.
walking around the Bellagio, being like, is it now?
yeah.
You should have gotten one of those like long Vegas drinks, but like, obviously a virgin one.
Yeah.
And just been like,
How about now?
now.
Like by the time
Now.
we finish this drink,
Now.
I cannot believe how wild this is.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't even know how one would.
Life is so strange. Like there's such a layered experience of like every single thing that could happen is happening.
Yes.
You know, or has happened or will happen.
Yeah. And I think because of all this crazy shit always happened to me from a young age, when it does happen, I'm like, of course, what else? You know, like people are like, you're so strong. And I'm like, I am a strong person because of necessity.
But it's also tiring being strong.
Yeah, I'm so done with it. But like
take care of me. Give me a fainting couch.
Yeah. But I am very like,
give me a fainting vacation.
Of course. Like people are like, this crazy thing happened. I'm like, yes. And what else?
Take a vacation? Can you just go somewhere and
That's what I was thinking too.
Caribbean.
Can you get your? Could you have your money yet?
There'll be a hurricane.
Yeah. I'm not doing anything. I'm staying here.
Yep.
I'm very protective of New York City because it's like my safe space.
It's where you chose to be, and it's where like you've thrived.
My people are here. Like
where you've thriven.
I have thriven, and so I'm happier here than anywhere, and I also am. I don't want to. I'm very.
Well, then take a week-long
staycation
to Governor's Island.
Right. Go to Gut Ball and just relapse. Like
Oh my god.
So I'll be okay. I know that. There are moments during the day, and I don't know if you felt this with your brother, but every once in a while, I'll just be like walking around and it'll be like, your dad's dead. And you'll be like, oh,
yep.
God, I was on the subway.
Yeah.
And
or like you bring it up, because I would like to just sort of like healthy bring it up when it was a topic of conversation that made sense.
Yeah.
Just to anyone. No.
Yeah.
But like, you know, bring it up and like you think you're going to be okay, and then you start
crying on a podcast.
And you're like, guess what? I'm crying with my boss right now.
Yeah.
And that's not my problem almost.
No.
Yeah, it's like not even voluntary. It's like my body being like, get out like the poison, get out the toxins.
Your body's probably slowly. I'm sure my body is processing this.
Your eyes sweating.
Yeah. And
Love
so
that.
I'm sure I will be fucked up in a different way about it. But I don't feel fucked up. I really don't. I feel like.
Well, you also had a chance to process it.
Yeah.
And also like the waves of like, it's not real yet. It's going to take some time for it to
sure.
be, not just like to know that he's not somewhere in the world, but
he arguably is literally right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying his energy isn't here anymore, because energy never dies, which is something I said in my brother's memorial.
It doesn't, I don't think.
But it doesn't. Like, scientifically, it just doesn't. But like, so he was dispersed up to go be a negative part of
He's off somewhere like
causing trouble,
ruining a climate.
No,
yeah.
But, you know, like it's just they actually say that grief counseling works a lot better when it's been, I think, more than 6 months since the person's died.
That makes sense.
Because your brain has not acclimated to that reality.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
You're just kind of walking around in a fuzz.
Yeah. Like I'll call my friend and be like, I think I'm fine. And she's like, Lizzie Cassidy, friend of the pod, who's, you know, hasn't been on the pod, but is a friend of you guys.
Love her.
Her dad died.
Gracie hates her.
Gracie hates
I
her.
love her.
Yeah. And I'm going to fight Gracie for that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But her dad died last year and she's 26. She's young. And it was.
So honestly, you're a hack then.
But yeah, I'm always following her.
Yeah.
But it happened fast. But so I've been talking to her a lot about this experience because it's not until it happens to you, you can't really know what it's like.
Until you lose, like, I mean, and I'm sure it's very specific to dads and very specific to brothers, but until you've lost like a primary family member, you just like other people who, if someone hasn't, they just don't.
You
It's
can't.
like what the
like
I'm so sorry
Gracie,
in
for
Harry
example.
Potter.
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
Just Gracie, for example,
Yeah.
doesn't get
You
it.
don't
I
get
don't.
it.
You don't.
I literally
get it.
fucking
Can
don't.
You leave.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring up a Harry Potter reference.
know you are.
Right
We must
now,
do it, yeah.
Okay. It's like I forgot. Believe it or not, I forgot the name of the magical beings, but there
Are
are.
they fucking orcs?
No, they're not orcs. They're
yeah,
like
the ones
they're
that can
like,
only see.
You can only
Yeah.
see these like little dragon horses.
Mhm.
I think that's what I would call them,
Yeah.
dragon horses. If you've lost someone, like if you've known like true grief. So after
not a Pegasus.
it's like an evil Pegasus, but they're not evil. It's like a dark.
They have little
scaly
flies around them.
Pegasus, and like that's what pulls the carriages into Hogwarts. And like before Harry Potter loses his godfather, he just thinks that they're being pulled by like being pulled by invisible things. But then after you experience a certain level of grief, you see these horse demons.
Nargiles.
Yeah, no, nargiles are like something
Sorry,
that
Maria.
are more of like little, I think little like thing like garden things.
Okay.
Nargiles, but I think it starts with a D.
Okay.
Anyway,
Are they
if
Argyle gnomes?
no, they're not gnomes. I'm so glad you asked. They are
take
like
it back.
little, yeah. So I would not be able to see these things, and you guys would. So there is a difference, and I'm not going to pretend like, you know.
My dad is actually not dead. We just did this whole thing so that she could make a vague Harry Potter reference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of
He's
disappointed
alive
because
and well and actually a great father.
He's thriving.
brought it up, and then I didn't know the reference. I
know exactly
I'm
what
not a
you're talking
fucking
about.
closer. Yeah, but I didn't know I didn't know the fucking name of it.
Luna Lovegood.
Yeah, she
sees
knows.
them.
She sees them. It's,
Yeah. You're Luna Lovegood and I'm Harry Potter. Actually, I
Totally.
don't really know. I
I'm
think you're
fucking
more-
Ron.
Yeah.
I'm
You're
1,000%.
LeBron? Is that what you said?
Ron.
Yeah.
Ron Weasley energy.
But you said you're
Just
LeBron,
like
and I
a
was like,
fucking
this is-
useless
I was
goofball
like,
over
this is
here.
too much crossover.
Yeah.
I hope you see yourself for how you actually are one day.
Useless
goofball? Which is not a useless goofball at all, but
No, you're Hermione.
Back to my trauma.
I know a
Yeah.
little bit of Harry Potter. You're Hermione. You work
With
so
my
fucking
Excel
hard.
Yeah.
spreadsheets. Yeah, but she doesn't just work hard. She's really, really, really like gifted and smart.
so are you.
I'm
What
like
the fuck
a
do you think
idiot.
you are?
Okay, this is
Fucking
no.
dummy.
Let's get
Yeah.
back to
started
this
it.
is bumming
Yeah.
me out. Let's
Yeah.
get back to Andrew.
All right. Accept love, would you,
All right,
please?
let's close this out.
Is there
Close
any way
it
to
out.
go into hot tips?
I'll give you a hot tip.
Yeah, give us a hot tip for your dad dying.
But really quickly before we do hot tips, seriously, thank you for
Oh, yeah.
being in the middle here and being the Andrea sandwich and like bearing your soul and being awesome.
Being
and
a dead dad heiress. Which
I'm-
is what I'm
Yeah,
naming the
thank you
episode.
for being vulnerable and on here. And last minute, we
You're
just
very
threw you in
welcome.
like an hour ago.
I love processing feelings through
Yeah.
podcasts. Sometimes
Yeah.
people threaten to sue you when you do that, and you do it
Luckily,
anyways.
this guy is dead.
No more suing from you. He wouldn't have done it. He was
Maybe
just
other
fronting.
people. I'll do
Thanks
it
for
if
having
it makes
me.
you feel better.
Yeah.
Thanks
Can we do
for
a
doing
role
it.
play?
Fuck yeah.
So yeah, what's your stay hot tip,
Stay hot
for,
tip
for
after all this.
Your dad for dad's dying.
I
I mean, you already like to wear black, which is great.
Yeah.
know it's really convenient.
You're wearing some fabulous earrings.
thank you.
You have great accessories.
have money. That helps if you can do
It's
that.
always good. That's a perfect stay hot tip.
That makes
Yes.
life a lot easier up to a point.
Keep meaning to do that.
Yeah, I
It's so
know.
good you
I know.
reminded me.
Everyone's
Yeah.
like not doing it. I'm like, what's your deal?
Yeah.
Why are you not a
That's
rich
what
white
this
man?
string on my
It's the
finger is.
best.
Fuck you, money.
The actual hot tip, I would say, build a life that you can sustain grief with. Like, I don't think that I think I would be in a very bad place had I not taken care of my mental health and worked very hard to do that. Like, build a life where you have people who are actually in your corner, because when shit like this happens and you don't have people in your corner, it's awful.
Shit.
Yeah. You gotta, you know.
Forgot to do that.
Yeah. Shut up. You're
That's
a
another
beloved
thing.
person.
Yeah. Get friends and money.
Yeah.
Maria, write it down.
Yeah.
Write it down.
Cultivate. I mean, my dad, this is one of the things he said to me when he died, and he's someone who lived an incredibly fortunate life. He's like, go out there and do it.
And you did.
Yeah. And so, like,
You've been done doing it.
I've been done doing it. And like, you know, it's like I have friends reaching out and sending me things and holding space. And like, it's not holding me space, not in an annoying guy who's trying to fuck me way, but in a genuine way. And like, I just think that if life is so filled with horrible things that if you don't cultivate like beautiful things to counteract it, you'll fucking drown.
I do have one bone to pick,
Yes.
which is that I struggle to think there are going to be any hilarious teaser clips.
Yeah, sorry guys. Yeah.
I don't need to.
I'm a bummer podcast guest for a little while now.
I don't.
If only we could post, like, how long of a teaser clip can you do? Like 90 seconds?
Uh-huh.
We're gonna force you on your own episode to clip like 5-second moments that add up to 90 like second clip.
Oh,
I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with like sometimes like, yeah, why does everything have to be fucking funny? You know, like
Well,
that's the curse of comedy too. It's like just I'm a lot more times like likely to gravitate towards something or be interested in something that's just like real and not like how it's like, yeah, fucking being funny and laughing and making everything funny is fucking exhausting. So get on here and cry, and
I'll give you the
fucking
clip.
cares?
I'll give you the clip. This is how I process grief with comedians. And I immediately went out and was hanging with comedians like every night because that's how I feel joy.
Which is fucked up on its own.
100%. I'm a very fucked up. Let's be clear. I'm okay, but I'm a very fucked up person. But I'm good. I'm chaotic good, I think. But me and my friend Lizzie were joking that, like, what if the coroner came up to me after my dad died and somehow he's at the funeral and he's like, I'm so sorry that it's inappropriate for me to say this, but I have to tell you that your dad had a beautiful pussy. And we were joking about me making like veiled references at the funeral to like my dad's gorgeous pussy and being like,
now I know where I got it from.
Yeah, like weirdly referencing that somehow like he molested me. Like we were doing Dice impressions of me being like, I've hickory dickory dock. I fuck my dad's pussy with my cock. Like I'm like yelling this in a bar. Like,
whatever.
Days after my dad
honestly,
died.
you just saved so much money that you could have wasted in therapy by yelling about your dad's beautiful pussy in a bar.
That is actually, though, something that my friend told me. So she and her sister go to the same gynecologist as her mom, and the gynecologist delivered them.
Yeah.
And when he was doing her pap smear, he goes, the family resemblance is just amazing.
That would make me so uncomfortable.
She was like,
Yeah,
that's
fucking
so
nightmare
fucking
fuel.
creepy because then you're like looking at the just no. But yeah, I think that's clippable.
Yeah, he gained a lot of power through his incredible pussy and passed that along to me. And
Wow.
Pussy power.
Yeah, he's
And one day when you die, which if ever, someone's gonna be like, she had a beautiful cock.
Yeah, in terms of the amount of power and status I will have in this world as a dead dad heiress, I'm gonna just get multiple dicks just so that
we can't wait for Andrea to take us all out.
Feel my power. Yeah. I'm not buying anyone a boat. Everyone's been trying to get me to buy him a boat. I'm not buying anyone a boat. So
what about a toy boat?
I'll get you a toy boat.
Hell yeah.
Boats are
Toot, toot.
Listen, boats are a huge investment. It's not just like you buy a boat.
It's a maintenance. You gotta dock it.
You gotta dock it somewhere. You gotta, like you said, lots of maintenance. Like you gotta take time to take it out.
I'll buy you a beautiful pussy. If you'd like a second one, I'll buy you both one.
Honestly,
Thank you. I'd like one on my back.
Transphobic right now? Maybe. Sorry.
No,
my dad said.
You're fine. Get me a pussy on my back.
There's
okay?
external pussies.
Stop being a pussy.
You can just
buy me a
fleshlight.
pussy.
Is a beautiful pussy.
Yeah.
That's like $20.
My dad gave me his fleshlight upon his passing, and that was a really beautiful thing.
Gosh. It's like, how people are buried with flowers.
Yes. My dad's fleshlight
buried with a fleshlight.
A beautiful,
Your dad's pussy had a beautiful pussy.
Yeah.
He died holding something he loved.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on that note, what a perfect way to
Andrea Allan, we love you so much.
Thank
You're
you.
an amazing, beautiful soul. You're a badass producer. Thank
Likewise,
you for
ladies.
Tell them where they can find you.
Yeah.
At Andrea Comedy 69 and fansly.com/dogpig69 if you want to see my dad's beautiful pussy through me.
Sure.
It's available there.
Yeah.
Your genetic.
You'll be seeing hers, but really
You'll be seeing his.
you'll be seeing a generation.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for joining us. You can find us, Hot Dads Pod. You can email us at hotdadspod@gmail.com. You can find me at Save Gracie Canaan. You can find you, Maria, at
Maria Heinegg.
Maria Heinegg. Also, we forgot to plug this last time. We now have a Patreon.
Oh, yeah.
So we're on Hot Dads Pod
bitches.
Patreon. We have like some minor tier packages, but check it out. And
It's at Hot Dads Pod. Same exact.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we're very excited. Thank you so much again,
Monetize,
Andrea.
bitches.
We fucking love you.
I love you both. Thanks for having me.
Love you. Bye.
Dead Dads Podcast.